Okay. So first of all, Kanika, thank you so much for replying to my mails and for agreeing to this interview. It's such a privilege for me to be able to connect with you personally, especially after the inspiring talk that you've given at in the WomenTech Global Conference. Thank you so much for that. How are
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
you? It's my privilege. How are you doing today? You good?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm feeling very motivated because these 3 days of Women Tech Global Conference is such a nice forum to be a part of, and it's my first experience of a virtual conference. And I think
Oh,
this is where we are headed slowly, where we would have so many of such virtual conferences and exchange messages with everyone, network. It's so similar to the real life situation, and I'm happy to be a part of it. And
yeah. It's an amazing conference, and it's an amazing platform, and it's just good to see us all come together and talk about technology and career development. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. I had a good time yesterday.
So you are always participating in such conferences, or is this the first one that you have been a part of? I mean, the virtual conferences.
I've been a part of other virtual tech conferences, but this is the first time I've been a part of this particular woman tech
Yeah,
network conference. Yeah.
yeah. This is the first time that I heard of it too, and I'm really enjoying it. And they were asking us to vote for their favorite speakers, and I chose you because I resonated with the topic that you were speaking on, and
Uh-huh.
I love the energy that you brought to the talk. Everyone enjoyed it because what happens in such conferences that after a point of time you get a little drowsy and things start getting a little dull.
Right.
Thank you for keeping us so engaged in the talk. We really loved
Yeah,
it.
I always try to bring like high energy with some good knowledge and information, right? I don't want to come with high energy and then there's no value. So I hope that you guys found the information valuable, and I hope that you enjoy, interacting with me, because I enjoyed interacting with you guys.
Yes, yeah, we did. It was an awesome experience. So, Kanika, something that you said in the talk yesterday, it just stuck to my mind. And you said that personal branding is not a responsibility of your employer, but it's something that you have to do yourself. And I think that this is a very common misconception that people have because they generally tend to be associated to the tags of the college that they are part of or the company that they're working for, and they think that's all the brand that they need, but personal branding is something very opposite to that, and it's something that you would have to start yourself, where you capitalize on your strengths, where you decide what you want to stand for, and then change the public perception that people have of you. So
Yes.
yeah, the first question that I was planning to ask you a few questions because I think a lot of people who are getting started in this journey of personal branding, they would resonate with these questions, and these are some common doubts that they have in their mind. So the first question that I want to ask you is, how did you personally discover the importance of personal branding? I mean, today when we say that, when we take your name, Kanika, we say that Kanika stands for a consultant, for a coach, for a CEO, for a writer, for a senior project manager. And what we see, all these achievements are definitely, we see the destination, but you might have had your personal journey with all the struggles. So the journey of personal branding that you've had, did a particular person motivate you, or did an incident motivate you, or was it something that you believed in right from the starting?
I would say it was an incident that happened in 2014. I was in a bad place at a job that I didn't really like, and I had stayed there for 5.5 years, and I was miserable and I was unhappy. And I started to read about these about personal branding. I started to read a lot of other authors that were already talking about that, and it pushed me to take back ownership of my career and to stop, asking my job or asking my manager to do something that I could do for myself. So sometimes we have managers and we don't always get the level of support that we need from them. So I was in a job where I had like 4 different managers within a 5-year period. There was a high turnover rate in the organization that I was in. It was a very toxic work environment. So I was staying there because it was comfortable and it felt good. But then I started to say, I'm going to leave my government job and I'm going to go and work for private sector. So I'm going to go work for a company by the name of Deloitte. And I just really revamped my tech brand and my resume and my LinkedIn profile. And then I really started to see that I could do it myself.
Okay. So was that when you founded your company as well?
No, so I mean, I kind of evolved into career coaching within the last maybe 5 years. I started to write books. I self-published my first book, Life Rehab, and then I started to help my friends and family with their resumes. And then I started to like say, oh, okay, now they're asking me these hard questions about career-related topics. So let me help them with salary negotiation, or let me help them with job interviews. And then I kind of like stumbled into career coaching. So then I started my business then. So I've been career coaching and doing resumes for at least 5 to 6 years. So that's kind of how it happened. It wasn't like I was like, oh, I woke up one day and I'm like, hey, I'm a career coach. It wasn't like that. It was kind of like I tested out things that had worked for me, and I applied it, and then people saw my success and they asked me how did I do it, and I shared it with them.
So you would be the best person to vouch for the power of networking, right? Because the networking was the sole thing that would have helped you to expand as well. And that's something that the importance of networking is not something that people realize very early in their career unless they learn it the hard way and see that they have to do something about their career. And how do you think people can get better at networking?
People can get better at networking by stop being scared to leave the safe places of the people that they know. Like, it's so easy to, hang out with your friends, hang out with your coworkers. But I think for me, networking has, LinkedIn is a very amazing place. And just, when we were going to face-to-face events, I would go to meetups, I would go to conferences, and I would just try to force myself into the conversations with new people that I've never met. So, you have to network like an introvert and extrovert, because I think we network differently because of personality differences and different ways of communicating. So for me, I'm an extrovert. I love networking with people, but what I did was I forced myself to go to events alone. Instead of going with my friends or my coworkers, I forced myself to do that on a monthly basis. Another thing is I forced myself to communicate and talk to new people on LinkedIn and have Zoom calls and have, virtual coffee chats with people that I admired their profile and they were smarter than me, or they had more education or experience than me. I forced myself to do introduction messages through LinkedIn.
Okay, so these are some of the starting tips that we can use to get started. And I think that today the people don't actually understand the meaning of networking, because they start cold messaging people randomly on LinkedIn, and that's not the way you would network. You need to have something in common. You have to have something that you admire in the person's profile, and then you can get started. But
yeah. So what I advise people to do is to edify them and explain to them what you want from the conversation. But what I always do is I praise them, I make them feel really good, and I also like bring back something that we have in common. So if we have certain certifications, certain experience, we've maybe worked at a similar company. That's kind of how I do my introduction messages, because it feels more personalized than me just, adding them as a connection, not really introducing myself. So that has helped a lot. It's helped me to get jobs at other companies because I've, connected with people online and I've asked for company referrals and things like that. But then sometimes I'm not really interested in working for a company. I'm just interested in learning from someone who has accomplished something that I'm trying to accomplish.
right, that's really important. But one thing that I try to understand is, even though personal branding is something that everyone is running after today because they've realized the importance of that, it takes sufficient amount of effort and time from your side. And for that, you need to have work-life balance, where you have a clear line between this is where I stop working and this is where I start investing my time on building my own brand. So especially in these times where everyone is working from home and there is a very thin line between their personal and professional life, how do you think work-life balance can be attained?
Just like making time to develop your personal brand and to make sure that you're doing a good job at work. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of my time, to be honest with you. Even after the brand is created, then I have to maintain it. Then I have to continue to market and sell myself. So for me, what I would say is I always think it's important to work a hard 8 hours and do your best, do a really good job at work. Just really do a good job. But then weekends and evenings is when I dedicated a lot of time to maintaining my brand and establishing my brand. So I would say first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you start to brainstorm and sketch out ideas of things that you want for your brand. You just don't want to jump into creating it. You want to like define it. So explain to yourself and talk to your friends and family and people that know you well, and bounce out ideas off of them. Create a website, create a blog. You can start off with blogging before you have like a professional website. You don't have to have like this amazing professional website. You can have a blog. You can blog on LinkedIn, so people get to kind of see your expertise and knowledge, and then you kind of feel like, what are people like about what I talk about and what they don't. So I pay attention to the likes and the comments of the things that I post, and that helps me cultivate the brand that I feel like people resonate with the most.
Right. So you start with a basic idea and then evolve it based on how it resonates with people, right? How people.
Yeah. So you're testing it. You're kind of testing the same way we would test a website or test a system that we're building in IT or some type of tech product. You really want to make sure that you are testing out what is working well for your brand, because that's going to let you know who is gravitating towards you and who's not gravitating towards you. And that goes for recruiters too, and hiring managers, and even your fans and followers that you're trying to build, if you're trying to be like an author or a speaker or coach like me. So yeah.
Absolutely. So, Kanika, when you were answering this question, you told me that it's important to excel at work also. And personal branding is not something that is just confined to our personal life and that we don't take to professional life. It definitely is interrelated. And when you have your own personal brand, it helps you to be good at your workplace too. So, what I've commonly observed in the workplace is that a lot of people think that in order to build their value, a lot of times in our workplace, what we need to do is we need to be vocal about our strengths so that we know and people know how we can add value to them and they can approach us whenever they require anything on that line. But a lot of people view that as bragging or boasting, and then they say that this is not my cup of tea, I'm not going to be able to do it. So how do you think such people can rethink their way towards personal branding and shift their mindset?
And that's a good point. I think that that's the reason why brands, they shine, because of their strengths and because of the subject matter expertise and knowledge that you have.
Yeah.
I think that there's a dose of humility that has to be a part of the formula. Because I think that people gravitate towards someone that is humble but also extremely knowledgeable, right? Because everyone has been on teams with someone who's extremely smart, but they're like the jerk of the team because they always flexing their strengths. They're always, boasting and bragging about, you're right, I'm wrong, in showing their strengths. So I would say my formula is always, humility, and then and add to those strengths the humility, because people want to know that you care. Like, you can't just always be like, oh, I'm so strong in this technology or in this skill set, or I am the best developer on the team, or I'm the best, DevOps engineer. They want you to feel like that you're approachable, right? Because if you have a humble spirit and you have a great personality, but you're extremely smart and strong in something, people are going to feel comfortable with asking you a question when they get stuck or when they don't know. So I think when we look at the brands that we really admire, when we talk about personal branding, I would say, think about some of the famous people that you feel like their personality is so nice and so sweet and so amazing, but they're a rock star. Like Beyonce is an example that I use a lot in my book, is that she's such a sweet person, right? But when she get on stage, she turns into this other person, right? With all her performance and her strength. And outside of that, she's not trying to always talk about how great she is. She let it speak for itself.
Yeah, but while I agree that a dose of humility is required. Do you think it is negative to be vocal about your strengths in order to build credibility at work, or is it something that you would recommend that people do? Because unless you tell everyone what you're good at, a lot of people who don't know you directly might not know what you stand for and what they can approach you for.
That's a good point. So this is how you stand out at work with your strengths
Right.
without having to say that I am the best. You show up every day and you do presentations. You, in meetings, you speak up when you feel like somebody's going down the wrong path with a certain solution or a certain approach. You make sure that you're speaking at conferences. You making sure that you're also, when people are emailing you, that you're showing your subject matter expertise as you're communicating back and forth with your team, with stakeholders, with your clients or users that you're building different technology solutions for. That's how you stand out without flexing and talking about what you, people are going to see that you know what you're talking about when you stand up for yourself in meetings and when you ask good questions and you present good solutions. You don't have to say that I'm certified in AWS and I have a master's degree and I have a PhD. Everybody got that, right? So what you want to do is you want to be very strategic in your approach by showing up every day at work, letting them know that I am the go-to person on this, because when I articulate myself in meetings and conference calls, when we are debugging a system or we find an error, I've already done the analysis in the background research or investigation to understand why the technology is not working the way it is, and people will start to respect you that way. But if you just be silent and you're so smart and you're so amazing and you have all these great skill sets and strengths and no one actually sees or hears from you, then that's when people, their brands, their personal brands at work, they suffer.
Right. I agree with you. So, you would say that letting your work to speak for yourself is more than enough. And apart from that, you have to be present. You have to be able to present yourself well at every meeting that you're a part of or every conversation that you're a part of. You have to be able to contribute something, right?
In addition to that, I think it's important to have conversations with your leadership about your strengths and where you're trying to go. Because personal branding, of course, is not the employer's full responsibility, but if you're having conversations with your leadership about the things that you're good at and you want to get a promotion or you want to become a solution architect or you are a junior programmer and you're trying to get promoted to another level on the team, it's important to conversate with them about the things that you know that you're good at, that you want to get further training on, further knowledge on, certifications on, because we can utilize our employer to build our brand.
Right.
We can use them for training, for allowing us to lead projects. That's how the brand is going to grow, by you asking to be on more complex work, to be a leader of something. You can't assume that they know that you're so amazing and so great if you're not asking to be more of a leader at work, to show that you have all these strengths. So that's another thing that I think, especially women, we don't speak up and we don't ask to be a leader of something.
Right. So you would say that what first of all we have to be accountable for our work, because only then all of this can follow. But at the same time, we can leverage the resources that our employer provides us in order to evolve our brand, right? Because definitely the key is to first understand what you want in your life. And a lot of people I've seen, they have a short term plan and they're concentrating on the next promotion or the next hike, but in the long term they don't envision themselves at any point in their career, and they just go with the flow, right? So it's important to have a long term plan to be able to do this.
Yes, so that's why I talked about in the talk from yesterday, is that an employee kind of goes with the flow. They don't go above and beyond, and they really sometimes are just riding this thing out, right? They don't have a plan. But a person that's in an organization, they're sitting there in their cubicle, they're always thinking about the next step. For me, I'm always thinking about what's next. Even in the midst of taking the new job, what can I benefit out of this role that's going to be a new skill set, new certification, something new that I can add to my portfolio on my resume and on my LinkedIn profile. So it's important to always be thinking strategic. It's the same way when we go to certain stores that we like. They're always thinking about the next season of clothes that they're going to put out and how they're going to sell them. We have to be thinking about the next year, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. Where do we want to see ourselves? And that's how personal brands do. They continually evolve.
Yeah, that's right. So, Kanika, we know that this journey of personal branding, it can be very overwhelming. So, what would your advice be for someone who's just getting started in this journey?
Start small. It is overwhelming, right? Because for one, you have to define what you think your personal brand is. In tech, there's a lot of different avenues and streets and lanes we all can go down, right? I'm project manager. Some people want to be developers. Some people want to be cloud. Some people want to do security. So one, I would say connect to what you're passionate about in tech. Number one, define that. Because I'm passionate about Agile and Scrum because that's, I manage teams, right? So a lot of the things that I may talk about is from a project management perspective. So after you figure out what you want to do and what you're passionate about, become an expert at it. Become a student of your career. Continue to learn more and more and more about it. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to figure out opportunities where you can show your expertise and knowledge through presentations, through talks, through blogs, through videos, right? Because brands have products and services, and they have things that are visual. They have things that people need to see you. And then the next thing is continue to just massage it and nurture it and cultivate it and continue to just know what you can add on or take away from your personal brand. That would be my advice, is to start small, because we don't know what we're going to like until we put it out there into the universe. And then if we don't get the perception, we don't get the attention or the traction that we want from it, then we know we have to go back and figure out, let me make some modifications to those things.
So it's like a seed that you plant and you water and nurture it every day, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because brands, they don't grow overnight. I mean, they constantly grow through trial and error. And if you're passionate about doing it, as you see, I'm extremely passionate about talking about career development, personal branding. So people will say, oh, you naturally shine when you talk about that particular technology, or you naturally shine when you're at work doing a specific task. Brands should not feel forced to do something. It should feel like natural, because if it's forced, then it's just a job. It's not your purpose or your passion.
Right. So whenever I see you speaking, I can see the spark in your eyes about you whenever you're talking about this topic. And I think that is all we need, right? We have to find something that we are interested in, find something where our strength lies, and then just go.
Yeah, and sometimes I want to tell people, like, do not feel like your personal brand has to be 100% around your career. As you see, I'm an author and speaker. I am the author of this book. It's not a tech book. It's not a tech book, but it's Career Rehab is a book that all professionals can benefit from. But it has a very technology tone to it, because it has like a software development life cycle feeling to it, because I'm in tech. But at the same time, your personal brand could be around something that you just feel like, hey, I want to do something that's out of tech, and I want to kind of still help tech professionals with this particular topic. So I think sometimes people think everything their personal brand has to be what's on their resume. You may have another natural talent and gift that has nothing to do with technology, but could still benefit the technology community.
So it can just be two parallel paths with very little overlap, right?
Well, yeah, for me, I career coach a lot of women in tech, and a lot of minorities in tech. So naturally, it overlaps.
Right. It is going to overlap somewhere, because
but see,
one person is coming from.
But see, you're interviewing me, and you reach out to me, you may say, hey, I want to do this more. I want to do more interviews with more tech leaders and professionals because you're doing a good job right now. And you may find that this is something that you just want to do more of, and you want to bring it back to maybe tech conversations.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of this idea because this is the first time that I'm interviewing someone on a topic that I personally have always believed in, but I find a lot of people struggling with it. So I think if I find this interesting and if I take this as a chance of giving back to the community, then this might be something that I do out of my work.
I think you're doing an amazing job. I think you should continue to do it because you already said you're connected to the topic and you already have the technology like Zoom, you have YouTube, you have all the social media platforms to do it. I think that you should do it. And I think that you should just see what people say about it. I think they're going to like our video. You know, but I think you should continue to like write down and research and figure out, you know, what are the other things that I would love to interview other people on and continue to do that. And it always goes back to serving people. Like I'm not doing this because it's about Kanika. It's always about serving the community, right? We're attending the WomenTech Conference online because it's a community-based situation, right? So I think that's another thing we should talk about with personal branding is make sure that your personal branding has a purpose to serve.
Yeah, it has to align with a purpose that you have, a bigger purpose that is bigger than you yourself.
Yeah. And it still can be career focused and career related, but brands, they know their why. Starbucks knows their why. Nike knows their why. You have to know your why and why you matter and why people should hear you and see you, you know, within your personal brand.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kanika. I mean, this is so inspiring. Just this half an hour conversation with you, and I've already had so much in my head that I'm going to plan. My long-term goals are set now, and I'm at least inspired that I'm going to think about this because I think all of us, we have something in our mind and we say that we're going to do this and that, but we never sketch out a plan for that, and that is the reason that we don't see it getting implemented in our life. It's just somewhere in the midst of all the milestones that we have set ourselves, all the short-term milestones, this particular aspect gets lost where you forget to build your own personal brand.
And you're so right. It gets lost because I think that, you know, we feel so validated through employers that we want to work for, and we feel validated through formal education, like, you know, degrees, like bachelor degrees and master's degrees and PhDs. And I think in college and just formal education, they don't really encourage us to have our own personal brand. They just encourage us to get a job.
Yeah.
You know, have a great, solid, good money making job. And we're so much bigger. Everybody can make a lot of money in tech. I mean, so what? You know, if you make a lot of money in tech, good for you. There's millions of other people that make six figures in tech. But if you don't feel like you're doing something meaningful, and you feel empty inside, then you need to work on your personal brand. And that's where all the joy and passion and happiness about your career is going to come out.
Yeah, I think in the end, it's about personal satisfaction, right? Because sometimes you know that you're contributing to your workplace and you're doing a good job there, but that's just one part of you. That's not the total brand that you have for yourself. You have so many other strengths that you can use in giving back to the community. And that's something that we all forget to do.
Yeah. And we should definitely not forget to do those things. You know, like I said, I'll always be here for you. If you have questions, if any of the viewers have questions, you guys can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, on Twitter. I'm on all social media networks at Kanika Tolver. I'm at kanikatolver.com is my website. And if you really feel like you want to build your personal brand, I really think that you guys could check out this book on Amazon, and it'll walk you through every step to get to where I am at and to get to where so many other you know, personal brands that we admire and other leaders that we admire. But I'm still always in career rehab. I'm always working on my brand. The journey doesn't end. It's always making it better.
Yeah, the next thing that I'm going to do is read that book and then schedule an interview with you where I just give you so many queries that I have about it, because I'm sure that you've introduced a lot of models in the book. I read its overview, and I'm sure that once I read it, I would like to get some doubts clarified, which might then help me to get an
You
interview.
you definitely enjoy it, listening to you and what you want to do. You'll definitely enjoy it. It's an easy read. It's 200 pages. So I think, if you want to do another interview, I'm going to be so happy to participate
I'm
with
so happy to have your back on this side, because it is going to keep me going. It is going to be the source of motivation that I need. Uh, Anyone needs, for that matter, because you need to have a role model in front of you so that you can at least get started on this. And the toughest part of anything is just getting started. That's
you. Yeah,
something all are lazy to do about.
just getting started, and we all have personal brands inside of us. So I am so excited. Thank you so much for this interview. I appreciate you reaching out, and to everyone that's watching this video, just continue to work on you and continue to just thrive. This is the time right now, with all that's going on in the world right now. This is the time to work on your personal brand.
Yes, absolutely. We have so much of our time alone to discover who we actually are. And that's very important that we've got so much time now to think about all this. Thank you so much for this interview. I never thought, honestly, that you would reply to my mail. I thought that maybe you would be very busy with your own personal commitments. And I'm that you.
No, like I said, it goes back to a level of humility. I just want to continue to help everyone thrive, and I am honored that you asked. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye
All
bye.
right, bye bye.